Tonight on First at 9 this Friday the 14th of November 2025. Thumbs up. Second reading of the 2026 appropriation bill passed in Parliament with a majority of 118 votes. Under review. IMF staff reviewing Budget 2026 reveals IMF Communications Director. Further claims the sixth tranche of the bailout package to be unlocked upon staff level approval. Checkered results. NPP governed Padiyathalava, Uwaparanagam and Panduwasnura LG Council budgets defeated. Budgets of NPP run Agalawatta and Thanamalvilla Pradesha Sabhas passed by thin margins. Watchful eye. Customs and Ports Authority to expedite auction process of containers stranded at SLPA yards.
Kalin baby soap rupial 90කට. Kalin baby podi හැමෝටමයි.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Cologne.
And welcome to First at 9 on the Derana News channel. I'm Aditya Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms. Recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now, a top story tonight, the 2026 appropriation bill was passed in Parliament by a majority of 118 votes, with 160 MPs voting in favour and 42 voting against. Samaga Jana Balawege MPs Mano Ganeshan, V. Radhakrishnan and P. Digambaran voted in favour of the budget, while MP Jeevan Thondaman, representing the estate community too, cast his vote in favour of the appropriation bill. The parliamentary debate for the third reading of Budget 2026 is scheduled to commence tomorrow. Some think that this budget was drafted by kindergarteners. However, according to the same individuals, previous budgets were drafted by well-educated graduates. The opposition leader, in a sudden fit of panic, claimed that even kindergarteners can fill up state coffers. I wonder if the opposition leader thinks that filling up state coffers is as easy as a child piling up sand to make a sandcastle. The government claims that the treasury is filled to the brim. However, this significant tax revenue has been generated by taxing citizens over and over again, fueled by a vampire-like appetite. Anyone can do that. The president vows that he is cracking down on corruption. To the left of the president is a cabinet minister who is implicated in one of the worst frauds in Sri Lankan history. His resignation from the Ministry of Ports will not wash away his sins. To the president's right is another government MP who is infamous for charging hefty commissions. Seated in the second row is an NPP MP famous for defending the JVP in court. His residence is valued at 500 million rupees. We are concerned over how they accumulated their wealth. The president once claimed that when he assumes power, everyone on the other side of the aisle will be put behind bars. Where are they now? Those with threats looming over them are planning to get together on the 21st. The same individuals you vowed to incarcerate have rallied themselves against you. Many previously claimed that the first step to oust the government will be taken in Nugegada on the 21st. However, yesterday they claimed that the rally on the 21st is only to remind the government of the promises made. They have lowered their expectations. Taking part in the budget debate, the opposition leader claimed that even a child can fill up state coffers. During the good governance regime, he wielded 3 ministerial portfolios. During the good governance regime, he wielded 3 ministries. The funds of all 3 ministries were ransacked by him. What is apparent is that the opposition leader has weaker fund management skills than a child. Every single day, allegations are levelled against me over the arbitrarily released containers. These containers were released when Bimal Ratnayaka served as the Minister of Ports. The Criminal Investigation Department summoned me and held an investigation. I recently went abroad to Europe. There too, several critical documents were shared with me, establishing the existence of firearms within the 323 released containers. I am sure that the containers did in fact contain firearms. If necessary, summon me to the CID or the Interpol. I will answer all your questions.
As the main party that represents the Tamil people, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we can't decide, we can't agree with the government, we can't support a government just because the government has allocated money to do a feasibility study to build a bridge in Trincomalee. Even within the budget, Honorable Deputy Speaker, there are a lot of gaps. If you look at the development of the northern northern province. Last year, the government said they have allocated funds to develop the northern province. Now, if you go back and check the allocations that have been spent, you wouldn't be surprised to find that most of the allocations are not spent. We have always raised the fact that unless the connectivity to the north and the east is improved or developed, north and east will not be sustainable. The economies of those two provinces will not thrive unless the connectivity is increased. At today's voting, our party will abstain from voting. We will not vote for the government or we will not vote against the government.
Estate owners agreed to hike up estate workers' salaries by 200 rupees. The government felt that this increase wasn't enough. That is why we took the decision to allocate 5 billion rupees to hike wages. No government in history has ever increased the salary received by the Malaya Tamil community by 400 rupees all at once. I clearly assert that parliamentarians V. Radhakrishnan and P. Digambaran cannot vote against this daily incentive proposed through Budget 2026. The president initially claimed that he will auction off all vehicles in international markets and generate foreign exchange. What happened thereafter? After the president was elected, all of the vehicles used by former ministers were put up on sale at the Golface Green. Other remaining vehicles were sold at meager sums to some of the president's friends in Mathura. We clearly assert that we do not need new vehicles. The government can keep them. When liquor licenses were awarded, the government made significant announcements regarding them. However, Treasury Secretary Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma submitted an affidavit to the Supreme Court claiming that all licenses were granted correctly and that the government accepts the licenses granted by former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. They accepted the legality of the liquor licenses.
Accordingly, the 2026 appropriation bill was passed in Parliament with a majority of 118 votes. 160 members of Parliament, including Samagijana Balawegaya MPs Mano Ganeshan, V. Radhakrishnan and P. Digambaran and MP Jeevan Thondaman representing the estate voted in favour. 42 voted against Budget 2026, while 8 MPs abstained from voting.
ඔබේ සම හඳුනාගෙන ඖෂධීය ශාකසාරමේ forever face wash එකක් භාවිතා කරන්න.
අප වෙනුවෙන් කැපවූ ලංකාවේ අපේ අංක 1 ජාලය ඩයලොග්. දවටනේ නියම මිල සඳහන් ස්විස් ටෙක් නිෂ්පාදන මිලදී ගන්න. ස්විස් ටෙක් ගන්න ඕන හොඳම තීරණය.
Meanwhile, the IMF claims that it is reviewing Budget 2026 to determine whether Sri Lanka's fiscal policy falls within the parameters of the External Fund Facility Programme currently in effect in Sri Lanka. During an IMF press briefing, its Director of Communications further asserted that the 6th tranche of the IMF bailout package, corresponding to $347 million will be unlocked following the IMF's 5th review and subsequent staff-level approval. The IMF called on the government to speed up governance and trade liberalization reforms, while hailing the protection of vulnerable communities as a key responsibility of the government.
Budget was recently introduced and the government introduced a very ambitious target of 7% for 2026, which is quite high compared to the IMF target. What is the IMF's assessment on this projection, and at the same time, when can we expect the executive board to finalize the next tranche for Sri Lanka?
On October 9th, about a little over a month ago, IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities reached a staff-level agreement on the 5th review of Sri Lanka's EFF arrangement with the fund. Once the review is approved by the IMF Executive Board, Sri Lanka will have access to about $347 million in financing. We do expect the board meeting to take place in the coming weeks. What I can say on the budget is that, the staff are reviewing the published budget documents to evaluate whether the 2026 budget is in line with the program parameters. And of course, this assessment will be an important part of the review that will be discussed by the board in the structural to be key for further increasing Sri Lanka's potential growth. Let me highlight areas where we think reforms are needed or should continue. So it's continuing efforts on liberalizing trade and facilitating related reforms, improving and streamlining regulations around FDI. Also, it's important to speed up the implementation of the governance reforms outlined in the government's action plan. This includes procurement reforms, strengthening the AML-CFT framework, among others. And of course, finally, continuing to protect the vulnerable. It should be a priority going forward for Sri Lanka, and there's scope to deepen the welfare benefit payments scheme. So those are some of the reforms that we'll be looking for to boost Sri Lanka's growth.
Now, local government council budgets of Padiyatalawa, Uwaparanagama and Panduwasnuwara, governed by the National People's Power, were defeated today. However, NPP-run Agalawatta and Tanamalville Pradesh Sabhas saw their budgets passed today, albeit by razor-thin margins.
The budget of the Padiyatalawa Pradesh Sabha, governed by the National People's Power, was tabled at the council today. All 7 NPP councillors and the councillor representing the People's Alliance voted in favour of the budget, while the remaining 12 opposition councillors voted against it, resulting in the budget being defeated by 4 votes. Similarly, the NPP-run Uwaparanagama Pradesh Sabha also saw its budget defeated today. All 20 NPP councillors of the Pradesh Sabha voted in favour of the budget tabled by its chairman Dinadasa Ratnayaka. However, all 21 opposition councillors voted against the budget, resulting in its defeat by a margin of 1 vote. The budget of the Panduwasnuwara Pradesh Sabha, governed by the NPP, was also defeated by a margin of 4 votes today. The budget presented by Chairman Sanjeeva Karunasagara secured 17 votes in favour and 21 against. The inaugural budget of the Agalawatta Pradesh Sabha was passed today amidst heightened tensions. The budget presented by Chairman Lalit Kumara Ratna secured 10 votes in its favour, while 7 voted against it and 3 abstained. Tension simmered when an SLPP councillor accused the council's secretary of inaccurately marking his vote. The secretary later revised the tally of votes as in 9 in favour, 8 against and 3 abstentions. With the revised tally, the budget of the Agalawatta Pradesh Sabha was declared passed. Opposition councillors, however, refused to accept the outcome, resulting in the further escalation of tensions and a subsequent 30-minute adjournment of the council. Opposition councillors later lodged a complaint with the Agalawatta police over the incident. Meanwhile, the Tanamalville Pradesh Sabha, comprising 16 NPP councillors and 18 opposition councillors, passed its budget today. During the casting of votes, a single opposition councillor joined the 16 NPP councillors to vote in favour of the budget. Since the remaining 17 opposition councillors cast their votes against the budget, a deadlock ensued. Upon the council's chairman exercising his casting vote, the deadlock was resolved and the budget of the Tanamalville Pradesh Sabha was declared passed.
Now, a key discussion on the upcoming public rally in Nugegoda, scheduled for the 21st of November, was held yesterday at former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's political office, on Flower Road, Colombo. Representatives from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party also attended the meeting. Following today's United National Party Working Committee meeting, party representatives confirmed their decision to participate in the rally. UNP General Secretary and former Minister Thalathathu Kurla told media that the decision was approved by the party's working committee. Lawyers representing several parties, including the SLFP, the SLPP and the Pivithuru Herurume, also held a press briefing announcing their participation at the November 21st event.
Let the world look up to you, shoot what you see, be who you wanna be. Search with a smile, create your own style. Gemini Live, make moments come alive. Be anywhere, rock anytime. With awesome AI by your side. Be anywhere, rock anytime. Be brilliant, be always intelligent. Download fast, stream it all night. One tap, move, everything feel right. Snap it clean, edit like a pro. Smarter with Gemini, let the magic flow.
Introducing Samsung Galaxy A17 5G. The power to be always intelligent.
Musa Phoenix Natal Fiesta November 13 සිට 16 දක්වා අනුරාධපුර ස්පොට්නික් ක්‍රීඩා පිටියේදී.
Members of Parliament representing the opposition request the government to withdraw the circular issued pertaining to the implementation of the Prajashakthi national program to eliminate poverty. During a press briefing today, the opposition parliamentarians alleged that through the program, the government attempts to equip NPP representatives with the power to make decisions related to government procedure.
Through a circular, the Presidential Secretariat announced a decision taken by the government to allocate 1 million rupees each to all district and divisional secretariats. The funds, revealed to be a part of the Prajashakthi National Initiative, have been earmarked for digitization of all district and divisional secretariats spread across the island. The relevant circular issued by the Presidential Secretariat was met with outrage by 27 opposition MPs who aired their concerns through a special statement to the media. The statement, signed by 27 opposition MPs, claims that the government intends to use the initiative referred to in the circular to officially endorse all NPP promotional campaigns being implemented at the grassroots. The opposition also convened a press conference at parliamentary premises today to share further concerns.
Prajashakthi namin Janata Vimukti Peruguna Shaktimat.
This program attempts to strengthen the JVP under the guise of the Prajashakthi initiative. This program further aims to politicize the grassroots instead of being a social welfare initiative. This initiative also prevents public representatives from serving the public impartially and attempts to expand the NPP's power over the 14,021 Gramanilidari divisions across the country. In the near future, the NPP headquarters at Palavatta will also decide the office bearers of village level organizations. Through this initiative, a community development committee will be set up. The chairman of the community development committee will be appointed by the chairman of the divisional coordination committee. This means that individuals nominated by JVP parliamentarians will be appointed in these Gramanilidari divisions. Development officers, community development officers, Samurudhi officers, Gramanilidari officers and agricultural research officers of the area will all be under his supervision. How independent will this program be? The government continues to expand its constitutional dictatorship and suppression through new means. All these measures are being implemented according to the JVP's core belief that democracy is unnecessary. They are imposing the ideas they expressed when they bombed the parliament, attempted to burn down the parliament and asserted that a constitution was unnecessary. 159 cabs will be distributed to further strengthen their political campaign in the rural areas. All of these measures should be rejected at once. Now in other news, Rasika Peiris has officially taken office as Sri Lanka's new Commissioner General of Elections, effective today. Peiris, who joined the Sri Lanka Administrative Service in 1998, has spent 27 years in the Department of Elections holding various key roles, including Assistant, Deputy and Additional Election Commissioner. His extensive experience in the Election Commission positions him as one of the most senior officials in the service. The position had been vacant following the retirement of former Commissioner General Saman Sriratnayaka on October 13th after he reached the age of 60. Welcome back. Now over 1,160 containers have been left stranded at the Sri Lanka Ports Authority's transit sheds for over 3,800 days, even after the expiration of the legally stipulated free time. When this matter was uncovered at the Committee on Public Enterprises hearing yesterday, officers of the Ports Authority drew the committee's attention to the logistical impediments that prevent the swift clearing of the containers. No action has been taken regarding 8 containers which have been stranded at the port for nearly 20 years, even after the free time expired. Data on these 8 containers have been misplaced during a power failure that occurred during the interchange. Sri Lanka Customs granted us permission to destroy 2 of the 8 containers. 2 other containers are currently in the process of being sold. The other 3 containers have been detained by the Customs. When a container is detained by the Customs, the officer who detained it must specifically authorize its release. That process takes up a lot of time. What we have observed so far is that 1,160 containers have been left stranded at the port for 3,875 days past the expiration of the free time until the 31st of July this year. This document further claims that 340 containers have been held at the port for 365 days.
සාමාන්‍යයෙන් සමහර වෙලාවල් වලදී එහෙම යාඩ් එකේ තියෙන්න පුළුවනි. අපි නිරන්තරයෙන් දැනුම් දෙනවා ඒ කස්ටමර්ට ගෙනියන්නේ. නැත්නම් අපි බිලින් ප්‍රොසෙස් එකට යනවා අදාළ ඒජන්ට්ලත් එක්ක. පනතේ වගන්තියේ තියෙන්නේ.
The Act stipulates that where any goods which have been placed in any transit sheds of the authority are not removed within a period of 21 days from the time when such goods were placed in such transit sheds, at the expiration of such period, sell by public auction any and all such goods as are still in the said transit sheds.
ලොකු ප්‍රොසෙස් එකක් තියෙනවා එතනදී අතනම ඒක කස්ටම් එකට.
That is a very lengthy process. First, Sri Lanka Customs approval is needed, after which an inspection takes place. If the containers contain food items, then approval approval must be sought from the relevant institutions. To file all the paperwork required consumes a lot of time. The customs inspections I referred to may require goods to be taken in and out of the containers. At the moment, a large number of items have been released for sale, and we've also managed to generate a hefty revenue from the sales conducted so far.
විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් ඒ මගින් ලබා ගෙනත් තියෙනවා.
මම පිළිගන්නවා අපි අනුගමනය කරන ක්‍රමවේදයේ අඩුපාඩු තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ආයතන සියල්ලම එකතු කරගෙන පරීක්ෂා කරලා විකුණන්න යාමේදී කල්ගත වෙන එකක්. අපි එකට එකතු වෙලා මේ ක්‍රමවේදයක් සකස් කළ යුතුයි. ඒක අපි ශ්‍රී ලංකා රේගු පැත්තෙන් වරාධිකාරී සමග කතා කරලා සහ අනිකුත් ආයතන සමග කතා කරලා ඉක්මනටම ක්‍රමවේදයක් හදන්න.
Now, the United States and Sri Lanka signed a memorandum of understanding formalizing the defense partnership between the Montana National Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard District 13, and the Sri Lanka Armed Forces under the Department of War's State Partnership Program. The MOU was inked at the Defense Ministry premises. U.S. Ambassador Julie Chung, Adjutant General of the Montana National Guard, Brigadier General Trent Gibson, and the Secretary of Defense Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta signed the MOU. Through this MOU, Sri Lanka is set to join a global network of 150 nations partnered with U.S. State National Guards under the State Partnership Program. The first series of the joint activities under this MOU is planned for summer of 2026, focusing on disaster response, maritime domain awareness, and professional military education. Now, other than Sri Lanka's leading news brand won the Bronze Award for Innovative Brand of the Year at the Slim Brand Excellence Awards. This marks the first time a media brand has ever recognized in this category, highlighting Other Derana's commitment to cutting-edge journalism and innovation.
The Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing SLIM hosted the 24th Slim Brand Excellence Awards last night in Colombo, celebrating the nation's most outstanding business brands. The awards, judged by a panel of industry leaders using internationally recognized scientific methods, saw over 200 top brands competing across multiple categories. Elephant House was crowned Best Brand of the Year, while Waterwala received the Gold Award for Best Local Brand of the Year. In a historic first, the Other Derana media brand clinched the Bronze Award for Innovative Brand of the Year, highlighting its pioneering role in redefining news broadcasting in Sri Lanka. Competing against numerous product and service brands in the innovation category, Other Derana was recognized for its state-of-the-art newsroom and groundbreaking coverage of the 2024 presidential and general elections. Through its flagship program Sri Lanka Decides, Other Derana delivered an unprecedented viewing experience with infographics, augmented reality and advanced technology, engaging audiences both locally and abroad. The election broadcasts became the most watched programs in the country, demonstrating the immense trust and loyalty of viewers. This award is a testament to Other Derana's commitment to innovation and its ability to deliver a television experience on par with international standards, while keeping the local audience at the heart of everything we do. As one of Sri Lanka's leading and most trusted brands, Other Derana continues to honor its heritage, innovate boldly and safeguard the public's right to information. With a pledge to conserve our own and embrace the new, Other Derana reaffirms its mission to deliver news with reliability, creativity and integrity.
Welcome back. Now, Opposition Leader Sajith Premadasa asserts that the opposition as a whole will pursue national objectives. He made these remarks during a forum held in Colombo yesterday. Addressing the same event, leader of the Sarvajana Balaya parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira highlighted the importance of positioning Sri Lanka strategically among its competitors, as well as building a brand in order to attract investments.
The World Marketing Forum 2025, organized by the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, was held in Colombo yesterday. The forum saw the attendance of key marketers representing over 40 nations. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and leader of the Sarvajana Balaya MP Dilith Jayavira graced the event as chief guests.
We as a country, the private sector, the public sector, government, politicians, all of us must unite to ensure that Sri Lanka's export drive. Sri Lanka stands at a very pivotal and important juncture. After global disruptions, domestic challenges, we as a country are emerging with resilience, innovation and ambition. With over 2 million visitors in 2024 and record numbers in 2025, record export performance, investment investment inflows. The momentum is picking up. We cannot be satisfied at the rate at which it is picking up. We need to drive it. Most important of all, we need to champion it. Our journey is just beginning. Together with you, the world traveler, the global investor, the export partner, we can make Sri Lanka not merely a destination, but a global symbol of what a small island nation state can achieve. We as members of a progressive opposition, a constructive opposition, we shall at all times promote the enhancement of achieving national objectives and national interests in a time-targeted manner. Of course, when we see deficiencies, shortcomings, malpractices, maladministration, we won't hesitate to voice our opinion.
The very thing that we miss as a nation, this positioning exercise. So it is my belief that if we can get this particular positioning right as far as our brand, this mother Sri Lanka, we can develop our country not just in terms of material development and that expected wholesome development. Unfortunately, politicians and therefore the government, and as a result of that the bureaucracy, they don't understand that there is something very simple in this game. That's called positioning. We have got it wrong in terms of not understanding the basics of our product and the product offerings. Therefore, we haven't understood the value of differentiation. As a result, we have no idea of country positioning, and as a result, we don't have a brand which can compete with. When we got a perfect product, we have simply failed to convert this product to a brand. So I think it is, in fact, time that we marketeers get together and try to convince the government that there is something very simple that they have to do. They don't have to spend a lot of money. They should not ignore this reality. Now we all talk very proudly. We have this, we have that, we have elephants. True, we have elephants. But however, what matters is what gets communicated to the rest of the world. We are actually a very raw product. We still talk about how much dollars we can give as a discount. Our room rates are the lowest in the region. That too, we still compete the very lowest levels. Frankly speaking, we are in an undercutting business than promoting hospitality. It is our belief that if we are to take our motherland to the next level, even in terms of attracting investments, we got to build brand Sri Lanka, not product Sri Lanka. Brand Sri Lanka, perceptually, a perception of Sri Lanka in terms of being in the consideration set for an investor to come. It has to have that power. We have to sit back and think, have we actually created that power? For people to believe that there is an island called Sri Lanka, we should go and invest in this country.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.